You wake up tired from a life you're working so hard to maintain. You set an alarm. You wake up before you're ready. You check your phone, emails, messages, things you forgot to do yesterday. You haven't even gotten out of bed yet, and already you're behind. You go to work. You do what you're supposed to do. You come home. You're exhausted, but you still feel like you didn't do enough. The rent is due. The bills keep coming. You're making money, but it disappears. You're working, but you're not getting ahead. People ask how you're doing. You say, fine. You say, busy. You don't say the truth, that you're tired, that you don't know what you're working toward anymore, that every day feels the same. You see people online. They're traveling. They're happy. They figured it out. And you're still here, still trying, still falling short. This is modern life for so many of us, working hard, barely surviving, never feeling like it's enough. And the worst part, you don't even know when it started feeling this heavy. The weight you carry. You used to have dreams, things you wanted to do, places you wanted to go, a version of yourself you thought you'd become. Now you're just trying to make it through the week. You wake up, you work, you pay bills, you sleep, repeat. Somewhere along the way, life stopped being about living. It became about surviving. And you can't remember when that shift happened. You just know it did. The pressure. There's this voice in your head. It never stops. You should be doing more. You should be further along by now. Everyone else is ahead of you. You see people your age. They have houses, families, careers that make sense, and you're still figuring it out, still paying off debt, still working a job that doesn't feel like yours. The pressure isn't just external, it's inside you, it's constant. You're exhausted, but you keep pushing because stopping feels like giving up, and giving up feels like failing, so you keep going, even though you're running on empty. The loneliness. Here's what nobody talks about. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. You can have friends, family, a partner, and still feel like no one really sees what you're going through. Because how do you explain this? How do you tell someone that you're drowning in a life that looks fine from the outside? You can't, so you don't. You keep it to yourself. You smile. You say you're fine. And the loneliness grows. Not because you have no one, but because you can't let anyone in. Because admitting how bad it is feels like admitting you failed. The numbness. At some point, you stop feeling as much. Not in a dramatic way. You don't break down, you don't fall apart. You just flatten. Things that used to excite you don't anymore. Things that used to hurt you don't either. You're just here. Going through the motions, doing what you're supposed to do, but not really feeling it. It's easier this way. Feeling less means hurting less. But it also means living less. And somewhere deep down, you know that. You just don't know how to feel again without breaking. The comparison trap. You open your phone. Someone just got promoted. Someone just bought a house. Someone just got engaged. And you're happy for them. You are. But there's this other feeling underneath. Why not me? What am I doing wrong? When is it my turn? You know comparison is poison. Everyone says that, but you can't help it. Because everywhere you look, people are winning, and you're still trying to figure out how to play the game. It doesn't feel fair. You work hard, you try, you do everything you're supposed to do, but it's never enough. And watching other people succeed while you struggle makes it worse. The identity crisis. Who are you? That's the question that keeps you up at night. You used to know, or at least you thought you did, but now you're not sure anymore. Are you your job? No, that doesn't feel right. Are you your relationships? Maybe, but what if they end? Are you your accomplishments? You don't have enough to feel proud of. So who are you? You're just trying. That's all you have right now, and that doesn't feel like enough. Here's what's actually happening. This isn't weakness. This isn't failure. This is how human beings respond to chronic stress. Let me explain. Survival mode. Your brain has two modes, growth mode and survival mode. In growth mode, you can think clearly, you can plan, you can dream, you can feel hopeful. In survival mode, your brain shuts all of that down. It focuses on one thing, making it through right now. And when you're constantly stressed about money, work, time, expectations, your brain stays in survival mode. That's why you can't think long term. That's why everything feels so hard. Your brain is just trying to keep you alive. Dopamine burnout. Your brain runs on dopamine. It's what makes you feel motivated, excited, alive. But modern life drains it. Constant notifications, endless scrolling, overstimulation. Your brain gets small hits of dopamine all day long, but none of it is meaningful. None of it actually fills you up. So you feel empty, not because you're broken, but because your brain's reward system is exhausted. Comparison and the brain. Your brain wasn't built for this. For most of human history, you only compared yourself to the people in your village, maybe 100 people. Now you're comparing yourself to millions, every day, every scroll. And your brain doesn't know the difference between real life and a highlight reel. It just sees they're winning, you're not. And that triggers stress, shame, fear. This isn't a character flaw. This is your brain reacting to an environment it wasn't designed for. Learned helplessness. Here's a term, learned helplessness. It's what happens when you try and nothing changes. You work hard, but you're still struggling. You do everything right, but you're still behind. Eventually, your brain learns a lesson. Trying doesn't work. So you stop trying as hard, not because you're lazy, but because your brain is protecting you from more disappointment. This is a survival response, not a choice. Identity diffusion. When your life is unstable, your identity becomes unstable too. You don't know who you are because you don't have solid ground to stand on. You're constantly adapting, constantly changing, constantly trying to be what the world needs you to be. And in all of that, you lose yourself. This is called identity diffusion, and it's exhausting because you can't rest when you don't even know who you are. The bottom line, you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not failing. You're a human being living in a system that's designed to burn you out. Your exhaustion makes sense. Your anxiety makes sense. Your emptiness makes sense. Because this is what happens when you push a human nervous system beyond its limits, day after day, year after year. And the first step to getting better is understanding that. Here's what most people don't talk about. What happens if you just keep going like this? If you ignore the exhaustion, if you push through the burnout, if you tell yourself you're fine? Nothing dramatic happens. That's the scary part. You don't collapse, you don't fall apart, you just fade. Emotional numbness becomes normal. At first, numbness is a defense mechanism, but if you stay numb long enough, it becomes your baseline. You stop feeling joy, you stop feeling pain, you stop feeling much of anything, and you don't even notice it happening because it's gradual. One day, you realize you can't remember the last time you felt truly excited about something or truly connected to someone, and by then, you've forgotten what it feels like to be alive. Quiet depression. This isn't the depression you see in movies. You don't stay in bed for days, you don't cry, you don't fall apart. You just go through the motions. You work, you function, you show up, but inside, there's nothing. Just emptiness, just exhaustion. And because you're still functioning, no one notices, not even you, until one day you realize you haven't felt like yourself in years. Loss of self. When you spend all your time surviving, you lose the parts of you that aren't necessary for survival. Your creativity, your curiosity, your dreams. At first, you think they're just on hold. You tell yourself, I'll get back to that when things settle down. But things never settle down. And eventually, those parts of you fade completely. You become a shell, a worker, a bill payer, a person who exists but doesn't really live. Burnout becomes normal. The scariest part, you get used to it. Exhaustion becomes your default state, stress becomes background noise, emptiness becomes normal, and you stop fighting it, not because you accept it, but because you forget there was ever another way to live. You look back at your younger self and think, I used to have energy, I used to care. What happened? This is what happened. Life ground you down, and you let it, because you didn't know how to stop it. The quiet truth. This is the path most people are on. Not because they want to be, but because they don't know there's another option. They think this is just how life is. And maybe it is, for a lot of people. But it doesn't have to be. Not for you. Not if you choose differently. So, what do? How do you stop this? The truth is, there's no magic fix, no single answer, no quick way out. But there are things you can do. Small things. Things that won't change your life overnight, but they'll stop you from sinking deeper. Let's talk about them. 1. Recognize what's happening. The first step is awareness. You can't fix something you don't see. So start paying attention. Notice when you're in survival mode. Notice when you're numb. Notice when you're comparing yourself to others. You don't have to fix it yet. Just notice it. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when change becomes possible. 2. Create space to feel. You've been running from your feelings for so long. And I get it. Feeling everything is terrifying. But you can't heal what you won't feel. So create small moments where you let yourself feel. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Journal for 10. Go for a walk without your phone. Let the emotions come. Don't judge them. Don't fix them. Just let them exist. This is how you start reconnecting with yourself. 3. Stop optimizing everything. You've been trying to be more productive, more efficient, more disciplined. But here's the truth. You don't need to do more. You need to do less. Stop trying to optimize every minute of your day. Stop treating rest like it has to be earned. Stop measuring your worth by your output. You're a human being, not a machine. And the more you try to live like a machine, the more broken you'll feel. 4. Build micro routines of safety. Your nervous system is stuck in threat mode. It thinks the world is dangerous. It thinks you're always at risk. So you need to teach it that you're safe. How? With small, consistent routines. Same morning routine, same bedtime, same meal times. Predictability signals safety to your brain, and when your brain feels safe, it can finally relax. 5. Limit comparison inputs. You can't stop your brain from comparing, but you can control what you expose it to. Unfollow people who make you feel bad about yourself. Mute accounts that trigger comparison. Delete apps if you need to. This isn't about hiding from reality. It's about protecting your mental space. Because every time you see someone else's highlight reel, your brain registers it as you're falling behind. And you're not. You're just living a different life. 6. Find one thing that feels like yours. You've been living for everyone else. Your job, your bills, your responsibilities. And all of that is necessary, but it's not enough. You need one thing that's just for you. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be productive. It just has to be something that reminds you you're still a person. Drawing, reading, cooking, walking. Something that feels like yours. Something that exists outside of survival. This is how you start remembering who you are. 7. Talk to someone. You don't have to do this alone. I know it feels like you do. I know it feels like no one would understand, but that's not true. Talk to a friend, a therapist, a stranger online who's going through the same thing. Just say it out loud. I'm struggling. That's all. You don't need advice. You don't need solutions. You just need to stop carrying it alone. 8. Accept that progress is slow. This won't get better overnight. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly feel okay. Healing is slow. Change is slow. And that's frustrating because you want to feel better now. But you can't rush this. All you can do is take one small step, and then another, and another, and trust that over time, those steps add up. 9. Redefine success. You've been measuring success by external markers, money, status, achievement. But what if success was something different? What if success was waking up without dread, feeling connected to someone, having one moment of peace in your day? What if success was just feeling a little more like yourself? You get to redefine what winning looks like, and it doesn't have to look like everyone else's version. 10. Give yourself permission to be where you are. You're not behind. You're not falling short. You're not failing. You're exactly where you are, and that's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be further along. You don't have to be anyone other than who you are right now. This moment is enough. You are enough, even if it doesn't feel like it. Here's the thing about time. It keeps moving, whether you're ready or not. And somewhere in your mind, there's this fear that you're wasting it, that you're falling behind, that one day you'll look back and realize you spent your whole life just surviving. And that fear is real because it's possible. You can spend your whole life running from thing to thing, paying bills, meeting expectations, never stopping. And then one day you're old and you realize you never actually lived. But here's the other truth. You're not there yet. You're still here, right now, in this moment. And this moment is all you have. You can't go back. You can't redo the years you feel like you wasted. But you can choose what happens next. You can keep running, or you can stop and breathe and ask yourself, what do I actually want? Not what you think you should want, not what everyone else wants. What do you want? What would make this life feel like yours? You don't have to have the answer right now, but you have to start asking the question. Because if you don't, time will keep passing and nothing will change. You deserve a life that feels like living, not just surviving. And it's not too late for that. It's not. You're tired. I know. You've been carrying so much for so long and you're exhausted, but you're still here. That means something. It means you haven't given up, even when it felt impossible, even when you wanted to. You kept going. And maybe that's not the inspirational story people want to hear. Maybe there's no big transformation, no moment where everything clicks. Maybe you're just trying, day after day. And maybe that's enough. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be okay. You just have to keep showing up for yourself, because you matter, even when it doesn't feel like it. Even when you're just going through the motions, you matter. And one day, it won't feel this heavy. I can't promise when, I can't promise how, but it won't. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think. You really are.